This audio reading is taken from the book The Bible and the Newspaper by Charles Spurgeon. Our selected reading is entitled The Deceiver and the Victim. Though you enlarge your eyes with paint, in vain you will make yourself fair. Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 30. Behold, ye trust in lying words, that cannot profit. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 8. After I'd used the wash for some time, an eruption came on my face. I think it was in December 1877 that this occurred. At this time I had paid the defendant altogether about £20, and when I found the rash come out on my face, I went to the defendant, and she said that I was in a terrible state. All the pores of my skin were opened, and that unless I let her finish me at once, I should be disfigured for life. These are reported as the words used in evidence concerning a certain madame who pretends to make ladies beautiful forever. The date was about the same with the last incident. Willing dupes ask for her famous cosmetics, washes and drugs, and beg to be enamelled that their charms may conquer all who gaze upon them, and before long they find themselves in the deceiver's toils, their hopes all disappointed, and themselves compelled to pay continually, lest some worse thing should happen unto them. Now this is an admirable parable, and full of detail, which a wise man may work out to edification. We will only use it as a caution. Before we commit ourselves into the hands of any of the fair-speaking generation, we had better look about us. Loan offices profess to help the needy with great generosity, and then devour them with unsparing ferocity. Companies inveigle unwary shareholders, and then strip them of every feather. Beware is a warning much needed on all hands. In spiritual matters we have many flattering deceivers concerning whom we have need to be on our guard. Peter, speaking of false teachers, says, "Through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you." And Paul says, "Of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women." These are the people whom the apostle calls grievous wolves. Woe unto any unsuspecting sheep if they come in their way, for nothing but almighty grace can rescue them from their jaws. Yet these flattering teachers who are to do such wonders for their dupes are deceivers all. As the aged pretender, mentioned in the newspaper, was not herself preserved in beauty by her own oriental balms, and yet boasted of her power to conserve the radiance of youth in others, so Peter says again, while they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. Still, though the fraud is transparent, custom begets a facility in deception, and there are ungodly men and women of whom again the apostle says that they cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls. And heart they have exercised with covetous practices, curse children. Satan is an arch-deceiver in the line of the pretended beautifier. He told our mother Eve that if she would follow his directions, she should be as God, and when instead thereof she found herself covered with shame. He knew that he had her in his power. Young men are flattered by the promise of pleasure, until they follow after the strange woman to the ruin of both body and soul, and to their own bitter disappointment as to the very pleasure which sin had promised them. With her much fair speech she caused him to yield. But shall he win the bliss which she has promised? Ah, no! A wound and dishonour shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. Self-righteousness also commends itself to men as a choice beautifier, and they spend their money to be enamelled therewith. But ere long it covers them with the purple rash of shame, and their comeliness is turned into corruption. Trust no deceitful word, but seek unto him who is truth itself, who can make us comely with the true comeliness which he alone can put upon us. This concludes our reading. Thank you for listening.